We have something very dangerous going on. Not only do we have anti-vaccine conspiracies spreading at exactly a time when we most need to be vaccinating people so that we can be done with this horrifying pandemic, we actually are seeing anti-vaccine nonsense do so well among the American right wing that right-wing media is trying to one-up each other as to who can be the most anti-vaccine. And we covered Fox News host Tucker Carlson's anti-mask comments last week. We covered podcast host Joe Rogan's anti-vaccine comments as well. I'm almost wondering whether Tucker Carlson was jealous about the attention that Joe Rogan was getting last week, because last night Tucker went even further off the deep end into a completely unhinged, baseless, and deceptive anti-vaccine rant that unfortunately is having an impact. Now, for people saying, why are we talking about this? We are talking about this because we are now at a point where people just don't want to get the vaccine. And daily doses have been declining for about 10 days now. We're only at 44% of the country has had one dose. 32% of the country has had full vaccination. Vaccination should be increasing right now, but it's declining because people are increasingly not interested in getting the vaccine from those that have not yet received any of the doses. So let's get into the first outrageous vaccine-related clip from last night.
That does not mean that they are dangerous, and we are not claiming the coronavirus vaccines are dangerous. But we are telling the truth, which is there are unresolved concerns about their long-term effects on some people, including their effects on female fertility.
So first of all, there's an image behind Tucker that says mandatory vaccinations. Now, there are no mandatory vaccinations. Some schools have said if you want to come to this school, you'll need to be vaccinated. Yes. And there will be businesses that may decide if you want to do business with us, you will need a vaccine. But there are no mandatory vaccinations from government. It's just not happening. Nobody's forcing anyone to get a vaccine. Now, the female fertility question is one that has been raised, but it is without evidence. There is simply no evidence that the vaccine impacts female fertility. Now, Tucker says, well, we don't know. It hasn't been studied. It would be like if I say, we don't know the long-term effect of the vaccine on curling skill. You know, the Olympic sport curling. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's not been studied, but we have no reason to think that the vaccine impacts how good you are going to be at Olympic curling. And then he gets into some more specific claims that are also deceptive. Take a look.
That is not a conspiracy theory. That is true. It's an honest question. What's the long-term effect that no one so far has been able to answer? And it's not simply being asked by partisans, it's being asked by practicing physicians. Catherine Lee, for example, is a research fellow in the Division of Public Health Sciences at Washington University in St. Louis. Lee doesn't seem like a partisan Republican or a QAnon adherent or a crank. She gladly took the coronavirus vaccine. She seems to support the coronavirus vaccine strongly. But then in herself, she noticed unexpected effects on her menstrual cycle. Quote, "It wasn't a symptom that was on the list," Lee said. "I expected that my arm would be sore or that I might have a fever or headache, but this just wasn't on the list." Kate Clancy, another scientist who studies female fertility at the University of Illinois, reported that she had the same symptoms after she got the vaccine, and she wrote about it in some detail on Twitter. You can look it up. After she did write about it, dozens of other women wrote in about similar experiences they had had after getting the vaccine. None of these symptoms had been described in the medical literature. The reason? The clinical trials for the vaccines never tested for the effects on the female menstrual cycle or for fertility or on pregnant women. So maybe the symptoms amount to nothing. That's often the case. Maybe they amount to something. We don't know. The fact is, we can't say what the long-term effects of this vaccine will be on women, including pregnant women.
Now, you really have to pick each thing apart there. The statements by Catherine Lee and Kate Clancy about the heavy periods after the vaccine, those are true statements. Tucker is accurately quoting them, but it's not complete. We know, first of all, that menstrual cycles are heavily affected by stress of all kinds. Vaccines work directly on the immune system. The menstrual cycle is very sensitive to anything that affects the immune system. I know women who have mentioned experiencing this. then they went back to normal after one cycle after being vaccinated. What Tucker is not telling you is that the very same Dr. Catherine Lee that he quotes also said this would have no effect on fertility. Tucker tells you, look, Dr. Catherine Lee said, whoa, heavy period. But Catherine Lee also said this will have no effect on fertility. And Tucker doesn't tell you that. He's only giving you a partial quote. And then Tucker shifts into saying no one is allowed to ask questions.
Honest people admit this. Every scientist knows it. According to a recent study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, quote, more longitudinal follow-up, including follow-up of large numbers of women vaccinated earlier in pregnancy, is necessary to inform maternal, pregnancy, and infant outcomes. In other words, at this point, and there's no changing this because it's true, we just don't know. Again, that does not mean the coronavirus vaccine is dangerous. There is no proof that it's dangerous, but there doesn't need to be.
Now, I have to tell you, this is pretty sophisticated propaganda in total. We can see through it, but it's actually quite sophisticated. Tucker opens by saying, I'm not anti-vaccine. He ends by saying, these vaccines may well be safe. But in between, he puts out carefully truncated partial statements from doctors about vaccine side effects with pictures above his shoulders that say mandatory vaccinations, which don't exist, no questions allowed, as if someone is silencing him, even though he's been doing this now for weeks. It's really pretty sophisticated propaganda. Let's look at one more clip.
NBC News is now running, and you may have seen these, PSAs, public service announcements, with its on-air talent demanding that everyone in the country get the shot. Barack Obama just released this creepy little video telling small children to get the shot.
Hi, everybody. It's Barack. Now that every American over the age of 16 is eligible to get the vaccine, I want to talk about you getting yours. The vaccine is safe, it's effective, it's free. I got one. Michelle got one. People you know got one. And now you can get one too. It's the only way we're going to get back to all the things we love, from safely spending time with grandparents to going to concerts and watching live sports. So get the vaccine as soon as you can.
Some creepy old guy telling your children, your little kids, to take medicine whose effects we do not fully understand. It's totally normal. Yeah, that happens every day. Don't ask questions, just do it. As CNN explained recently, we're not getting our freedom back until you do.
The funny thing is, Trump said the same thing as Obama, just not at all eloquently. It's not about we can't ask questions. It's the questions have been asked and they've been answered. Trump said during that weird interview in March, I think, with Sean Hannity, I got the vaccine. People should get it. I don't know why people don't want to get it. It's essentially what Barack Obama said. No one's being forced. Obama's just more eloquent in saying it, and that seems to really anger Tucker Carlson. But Tucker only talks about Barack Obama saying go and get vaccinated when Donald Trump also said go and get vaccinated on the Hannity program in a much less articulate and less eloquent way. Sure. So this is really dangerous stuff because Tucker's audience is made up disproportionately of people who are vaccine skeptical, Republicans, at this point, the most COVID vaccine skeptical group out there. And this is going to make it even worse at a time when we have the ability. Look at the Israeli numbers. They had, I think, 13 cases or something like that. Same size and population as New Jersey. We can do it. But people like Tucker Carlson are making it more difficult. One of our sponsors is Hydrant, which is a delicious fruit drink powder that you mix into water for rehydration. And they're giving you 25% off your first order. It's made with 4 key electrolytes that the body needs, powerfully supporting your hydration. Hydrant tastes great. It's made with real fruit juice. It's been a great part of my daily routine for a while now. Keeping myself hydrated puts me in a better mood. The body needs hydration for basic energy and focus, and Hydrant is the perfect way to rehydrate, especially because it's cost effective and lower in sugar compared to all of those popular sports drinks that are out there. You really have to try it for yourself to see what I mean. It tastes great. They also have a variety called Hydrant Immunity, packed with vitamins A, B, C, and D, which is also very much worth trying. Hydrant has a full refund guarantee if you're not satisfied, and you'll get 25% off your first order when you go to drinkhydrant.com/Pakman, or just enter the code Pakman at checkout. I've put the link right underneath this video.